Now, I will admit that I am not known for being brief. But tonight, I want to answer one simple question that none of you have ever asked. Why? The Kentucky Democratic Party was founded 197 years ago. And at our best, we delivered extraordinary results for Kentucky and for America. Results that have made our country and our Commonwealth stronger and healthier, better educated, and more just. Results we should never stop being proud of. But we also did something then that we've done a lot less of lately. And both the governor and Chair Martin have touched on it. And admittedly, it is something that, much to the chagrin of many, I am guilty of doing. We told stories. That is the generation of Democrats I grew up admiring and granted chat all. Wait a minute. I am dating both of us. I'm aging us. Because we did not just talk about policy. We talked about people. Our stories grounded us in our communities. Stories about where we came from, how we were raised, what shaped us. We told stories about our hometowns, our struggles, our triumphs, where we lived. These stories were passed down like heirlooms, but all of them reminded folks that we weren't just party leaders. We weren't just politicians. We weren't just showing up to ask for votes or for money, but we were Kentuckians. And those stories were often glimpses into our souls that then explained the policies that would follow. And as Democrats, our stories too often now have been replaced by briefing books on websites with expectations that a single parent will read it in between working 2 jobs and picking up their children from daycare. It just does not work. So tonight, in the age of sound bites and social media, and at the risk of earning maybe a few more side eyes, I'm asking us to maybe consider returning just a little bit to that tradition. To reclaim the power of our stories, if not for ourselves, but because there is another party hell-bent on writing and telling our stories for us. Because in the face of MAGA's chaos and cruelty, in the face of the damage they've done to our economy, our democracy, and our decency, we have, as the governor and as Chair Martin has said, we have a moment. A moment to show up and to listen and to speak not just louder, but more truthfully. A moment to tell the story and to write the story of who we are. And look, we can talk about who we once were, or with reference to who we once were, we can write and tell the story of who we are and who we will be. Look, RPK and even some political pundits have tried to write our political obituary. And let's face it, so have some Democrats. But we wrote and we told the story of how Andy Beshear and Jacqueline Coleman showed up for teachers in courtrooms and in classrooms, and despite the so-called red wave, Kentucky Democrats won. Yeah. Woo! Trump won by 30 points. We re-elected leaders who literally saved lives during COVID, brought jobs to every corner of this Commonwealth, and led with compassion in the face of disaster. And I will remind you not only did we win that election, we expanded the margin. Now we're writing and telling new stories. Stories of fighting back and organizing, training and recruiting and winning. We're fighting back against Republicans trying to steal public dollars for charter schools, and we are winning. We are fighting back against attempts to defund KDP and public broadcasting, and we are standing firm that we will stand with Bitburg before we stand with the orange man in the White House. We are fighting for women's reproductive freedoms because no lawmaker should come between a woman and her doctor, and we are winning. I have said it before, and I have said it, and I will say it again. Never ask Daniel Cameron. Never mind. We'll get there eventually. We're investing in local leaders through our Growing the Blue Dot training. And thanks to record investments from Chair Ken Martin that I was fortunate enough to help not only create but negotiate. Our state parties are seeing record investments, which means we are coming back stronger than ever. And I will say it again, thank you, Chair Ken Martin. It matters when you have a state chair as your DNC chair. You're writing and telling the story of Democrats stepping up. People who once hesitated to wear the banner of our party, now proudly doing so, and we're recruiting candidates like never before, working towards competing in every county in 2026 and beyond, because you cannot win races that you do not compete in. We're building a party where seats at the table aren't just given, but there is a firm reminder that representation matters. I know sometimes I go on and on, but let me remind you that for 197 or 193 years, a person like me did not stand at this podium as the chair of the party. So I can keep on and on and on, and the story still. Building a party where young people don't have to ask for a seat at the table. But the table is open because we cannot any longer just ask young people to come and volunteer and give us your time and your energy and your money. But please, don't sit at the table and help us make decisions. We need you at the table. We want you at the table. We deserve to be at the table. And look, let me be clear. I love our past. I was there for a lot of it, but I don't want to hear any more stories about how we used to decide general elections in the Democratic primary. I want us to write and tell the story of how when the odds were against us, remember that diamonds are not made when it is easy. It is under pressure that precious stones are made. If we are going to rebuild this party, it is going to be under pressure and hardship. But if we just keep the faith, I want us to tell the story about how we didn't treat people as other, but how we believe that out of many, we are one. That diversity is not a weakness in this Commonwealth, it is our superpower. I want us to write and tell the story of how we re-elected the first woman, and I'm going to try to say this without crying, because I've known her for way too long. The first woman to take the oath of office as our lieutenant governor back to back. I want us to write and tell the story of how next year we will not only hold legislative seats, we will flip legislative seats.
Let's go!
I want us to write and tell the story of not only how we will hold a congressional seat, but we will flip congressional seats. And lieutenant governor, and state auditor, and commissioner of agriculture, and secretary of state, and attorney general, and state treasurer will all be Democrats. I want us to write and tell the story that the next president of the United States will be a Democrat who restores faith in the American ideal, who leads with compassion and courage, and maybe, just maybe, that Democrat is a Southern governor forced in the fight right here. We can let Magic, Venus, or National Pundit shape the narrative, or we can take the pen back and tell our story. Let's write and tell the story of a party that fights back. Not with cruelty, but with compassion. Not with division, but with unity. Not for the headlines, but for the people, to make people's lives better. Let us be, as Chairman Martin said, the party that gives a damn. Let's organize, let's train, let's recruit, let's get out the vote, let's win elections. If you're not volunteering, I don't want to hear you complain. Get involved. If you're not donating $5 a month, means more training. It means more staff. It means more. And trust me, I'm a former homeless kid from Cynthiana, Kentucky. We can do more with less. And if you met Charlotte Flannery and Morgan Heath, you know we can do more with less. Let's write the future of this party, because Kentucky's future depends on the Kentucky Democratic Party. My friends, my name is Colmon Elridge. from Cynthiana, Kentucky. I am the chair of the Kentucky Democratic Party, the greatest party in the history of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I believe in the Kentucky Democratic Party